that we could possibly start with that. But otherwise, tonight's more of a casual event, just to be quite frank, because I'm exhausted, so my mind isn't quite on full steam. It's been a long week. But yeah, so it's generally a social space for everyone to get together and share their experiences. But we can start with the Q&A if anyone has any questions about lucid dreaming they'd like to ask. Don't be shy, raise a hand, or if I can work out how to do this, take a question setting here, then I'll try that. Nope, can't do that. They seem to change this all the time. Any questions, guys? Are all of you lucid dreamers, or are you new to the subject?
I have taken a lot of drugs.
That's a related thing, I guess.
What is the lucid dreams at all? I quite don't understand what lucid dreams means.
Oh, what lucid dreaming means? Okay, that's probably a very good place to start, actually. A lucid dream is a dream in which you're aware that you're dreaming. So generally when you're dreaming at night, you take everything for granted. The assumption is, whilst you're dreaming normally, that it's reality, and it's not until you've woken up that you realize you were just dreaming. So a lucid dream, a part of your mind wakes up during the dream, and that gives you, well, it can give you a form of control. So once you've become lucid, that can open up the doorway to a kind of biological virtual reality. In fact, what's interesting is a lot of people who use virtual reality seem to notice that their dreams start to become more lucid. They're more used to being in another form of virtual reality, so it seems to open lucid dreaming up to them a little more.
I've got a question. Do you think
Lieutenant Steve? Yep.
That's Lieutenant Steve? Yes. Do you think the prefrontal cortex plays an important role in lucid dreaming?
I do, but I've come up with a few techniques based around that principle. It's hard to say for certain because there has been the research recently using the. I'm sure if you come across the brain zapping technology that sort of took over the media recently, where they were zapping various areas of the prefrontal cortex, and it seemed to have an impact on improving lucid dreaming amongst a very small control group. But I think so.
How does it sound logical to like zap the prefrontal cortex in any sort of way?
Yeah,
you feel aware that you're dreaming. You can't just simply like do the little red ball. Oh.
Yeah, it's a pretty crazy form of technology. To be honest, I'm a little cynical about their research because it was a very small group of subjects they were performing on, and some of those were lucid dreamers already. And you know, when people can already lucid dream, you can't be 100% certain that what you're doing for them is creating that. It becomes a bit chicken and egg. But to answer your question, Lieutenant Steve, I think it's possibly I mean, no one is 100% sure whether the seat of consciousness is, even if there is one, but the prefrontal cortex does seem to be the area of the brain that's mostly dedicated to rational thinking and that kind of thing. And it does seem to shut down during normal dreaming. I think there's been a little bit of research that shows that in lucid dreaming it's somewhat more active. So I think the answer is probably, but
that makes sense.
I don't know for certain.
Because if someone is making willful decisions during sleeping, that means the prefrontal cortex must play a role. Interesting. Thanks.
Yeah. So in a way, we're kind of hacking our minds with lucid dreaming, just trying to make it do something it doesn't want to do naturally, which is why it's a bit more tricky than people seem to generally promote. And the one thing that I think is important for all of you to be aware of is the vast majority of information online that surrounds lucid dreaming is highly optimistic. So a lot of myths telling you that you can lucid dream incredibly quickly. But the reality of it is that it's more of it's a skill like learning a language or playing the piano. You can sort of pick up a little bit to start with. You can get a taste of what it's all about. But it takes probably at least a year of consistent practice to become even a somewhat regular lucid dreamer. But if you go in there with the attitude that it's going to be incredibly easy, which a lot of teachers promote, I think people get disappointed and they give up too soon. So one trick I say to people is when you're seeing a claim about lucid dreaming, exchange the words lucid dream for something like learn French. So if someone's saying learn to lucid dream in 24 hours, just swap that so it says learn to speak French in 24 hours, and then suddenly it seems like absolute nonsense. So
Au revoir.
yeah. Oh, he's done it. Oh my god. Anyone else have any questions or experiences they want to share?
I have a question.
Yeah.
Hi. I've been a lucid dreamer all my life, and but I'm not familiar with your work. I'm assuming you're Daniel.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah. Could you just tell us a little bit about yourself?
Yeah, I've got a question. I never really talk about myself. It's I've been lucid dreaming since I was a child. It started off really as a self-defense mechanism. I had hideous nightmares as a very young boy, and other parasomnias like sleepwalking and that sort of thing. My parents were completely unaware of what was going on and sort of a bit clueless to the whole sleep issue thing. So really it was a case of sink or swim. So over the years I developed the ability to lucid dream just to deal with the nightmares. And this was many, many years ago now, being older than I'd like to admit. And as time progressed, I just became very sort of just fascinated with psychology in the mind, and lucid dreaming was this thread that followed me throughout my life. So I decided, why not throw myself into doing that as a lifestyle choice and share what I've learned, and it kind of spiraled from there really. Meeting various famous lucid dreamers, if there is such a thing. But yeah, I'm an author. I've written a book called Are You Dreaming? I'm working on a new book at the moment, and my perspective is really to try and debunk a lot of the nonsense surrounding the subject, because as probably a lot of you are aware, if you are into the subject, probably 90% is New Age hokum. Not that I'm anti sort of people exploring their spiritual side, but lucid dreaming very much has been sort of taken by the New Age crowd, and that they've run with it, and that means there's a lot of information which is just a little bit flaky. And I think it's a natural and neutral state of mind, so we should try and get it out there to as many people as possible, because it's got so much potential. And while it can be used for spiritual exploration, it can also be used as an artistic tool, a tool for, well, entertainment is a simple one. I mean, much like virtual reality, if you think of the amount of applications VR has, lucid dreaming has many of the same applications in a slightly more personal way, and also it's insanely high resolution, and well, it's virtual reality without the social element, I guess.
So what I do is I keep a dream journal, and I have to keep it regularly for about a week or two.
Yeah.
And then I set notifications on my phone to do reality checks every 2 hours. So throughout the day, every couple hours, I count my fingers, check gravity, things like that. And then just naturally, after a few days of doing that, it's not immediate, I start to become lucid.
Yeah, I think that's a very good technique. In fact, dream journaling, I would say, is possibly the #1 technique for developing lucid dreaming, because it's a good example of how motivated you are, because so many people want to lucid dream, but they don't really want to put in the effort. And if you can put in the effort to keep a dream journal, that's kind of the first hurdle overcome. You know that you're dedicated enough, and you get familiar with the whole thing.
Exactly, yeah. Another thing I've started doing to see if it works is every time I see a triangle in my waking life, I do a reality check, and then as I'm falling asleep, I envision a triangle, and my idea is that maybe it'll work its way into my dreams, and when I see a triangle in the dream world, I'll do a reality check.
Any reason you chose a triangle?
None in particular. I was falling asleep one night, and I just saw this glowing triangle, and I don't know, maybe it has some sort of symbolic meaning to my mind.
Out of interest, whilst you've been here with AltsSpace, obviously everyone's got a triangle on their chest, so that must be
Right.
You must be reality testing it. Yeah.
Do you are you just aware that you're dreaming, or can you also control your dreams?
Or just work out so much that you can.
Well, it depends. It depends. For me,
So
for me, it depends for the.
just let it go too. Just let it.
For the
really
level of
creepy, really.
lucidity, like last night I was
Really,
in a lucid dream, and I
The
only
Power of dreams.
got so far as recognizing it was a dream, but didn't control it. But yeah, I've certainly
I
had
like to
times when I
dream
controlled
because
before.
Yeah, and not necessarily getting rid of it, expectation, but just sort of reworking your expectations to fit the reality of the dream world. So, for example, when we're in AltspaceVR here, we have certain expectations as to what's going to happen when I press this button, I'll move backwards, I click this button, this will happen. So, for example, I've dreamt a lot about being in AltspaceVR, which is interesting. You sort of have a virtual world inside the biological virtual world, and the interface comes with me, and the limitations of AltspaceVR come with me into the dream world. And
Interesting.
yeah, so I think really what someone needs to develop is a piece of VR software which is a good lucid dream training tool, so that lucid dreamers can use this, where there's an interface that allows you to do all sorts of things, and anyone who claims there is a guaranteed lucid dreaming technique is lying to you. You really need to kind of forge your own path with it. Yeah, so experimentation, dream journaling, and assistance is probably the nearest thing to a guaranteed technique.
I'm just wondering what your thoughts are on why we actually dream in the first place. Is
yeah,
there a reason, or is it just your brain looking for some sort of stimulant?
there doesn't seem to be a consensus at the moment, and I wonder whether there ever will be. I think possibly my personal theory is it's a form of memory consolidation. It's mostly it's brain chemistry. Really, when you're dreaming, your acetylcholine levels go incredibly low, and acetylcholine is a neurotransmitter that's related to awareness, memory formation, that sort of thing. So this is what I don't know if any of you have heard of acetylcholinesterase inhibitors like galantamine or lucidity pills that have sort of hit the market recently.
Yeah.
And the way they're working is by blocking something called acetylcholine esterase, which is the chemical that breaks down acetylcholine when you're dreaming. So it creates a brain chemistry which is far more similar to what we're all experiencing right now.
So you could lucid dream of it?
You can. It's I tend to not recommend it because it's got a
Tampering with your chemistry, aren't you, really?
I've used it before.
So you're breaking up a little, so I didn't hear that last bit.
I'm sorry. I said I've used it before. It's great for if you only have a few hours of sleep. It can make 4 hours of sleep feel more like 8 hours of sleep. But the whole putting you in a REM state quicker and longer is really useful for the lucid dreaming practice. But it's not habit forming too. I don't even know how to get a hold of that stuff anymore. But there is stuff out there that's not habit forming. I think it's great for this sort of thing.
I mean, it's hard to sort of get past the bunk with this as well, because it seems most of the companies selling lucid dreaming supplements are all referring back to this one book by a guy called Thomas Ushak, I think his surname was. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it
I've
correctly.
heard of him. Yeah, I've heard of him.
But he was a really sort of passionate, I say was, because that's kind of the punchline of the story, is he wrote this book and was very prominent in the lucid dreaming world, and then just one day vanished completely. And none of the community seemed to know why. We're all hoping that he's healthy and safe, but he may have had enough of the public eye. It may be that his experiments with pumping his brain full of different chemicals ended badly. But it doesn't really bode too well for what, it makes you ask all sorts of questions.